A doctor, a love triangle, a double execution. When Carter, Elliott, and his friend were found murdered, all eyes turned to his ex-wife and her new husband, Dr. Richard Kahn. What began as a brutal Arkansas murder spiraled into a cross-state kidnapping, stun guns, red rope, and bizarre confessions. Strap in, this one's a full-blown psychological meltdown. Let's get into it.
On May 12, 2002, friends Carter, Elliott, and Timmy Robertson were found shot execution-style in their Arkansas home. Investigators interviewed Carter's ex-wife, Lark. She revealed that since their divorce, she had moved to Utah and married military veteran and doctor Richard Conte, from whom she was now separated. Soon after, Lark was reported missing. Learning she had been kidnapped, police rushed to Conte's remote cabin, where they discovered him holding Lark hostage. Officers negotiated her release and arrested Conte. After taking him into custody, police questioned him about the kidnapping and if it was connected to the murders of Carter and Timmy.
Okay. First things first. Again, I'm Rick Brown. You can call me Rick. Sorry about that. They're
That's
probably
okay.
numb. Work them around if you need to. Like anything to drink?
I'm okay.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to record our conversation. Okay? I do that for a couple of reasons so that you'll understand. I do that for your protection and my protection. Everything that we say is on there. You don't have to worry about me at a later time going, yeah, I think he said that. My notes are kind of crappy. The other reason I do it is because I am a semi-crappy note taker. It's easier for me to let you talk and I write down questions that I may have to come back to rather than write down every word you say. Okay? Fair enough?
Okay.
And I'm going to do this on tape, but you're not free to go, so I'm going to
No, I
read
understand.
you read your rights. Okay? I have to do that, but we just need to kind of sit down and figure this out. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but one of the things that goes on when you do these type of things is you get lieutenants and captains and all the other people involved, and everybody's thinking about this, that, and the other thing, and we've got to work through all those problems before we can get down to the point where two guys sit down and talk and try to work out the problem, okay?
Okay.
So that's what you and I are hopefully going to do here, is sit down and kind of work this out. Today's date is currently the 21st of June, year 2002. It is 11:45 or 23:45 by my watch. I'm investigator Rick Brown, and present with me is Dr. Richard Conte.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we are in the Douglas County Sheriff's Office Minden Adult Interview Room, the Investigations Division Adult Interview Room. And I don't have a case number at this point in time, but we are here to talk about events surrounding Dr. Conte's arrest this evening. And I have your permission to record this, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And although you're no longer in handcuffs, you have been for some time, but no longer in handcuffs, I have explained to you you're under arrest.
Yes.
And you are not free to leave at this
Yes.
point in time. Okay, what I want to do is read you your rights. Okay, I'm sure you've probably seen this on TV. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish one.
Okay. I don't even know how to get hold of a lawyer, to tell you the
Okay,
truth.
well, having those rights in mind, do you want to talk to me about this whole mess that we're dealing with here tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, why don't you kind of give me an idea from your perspective what's going on here tonight?
I've been up for like 63 hours, so I'm trying to, I had some wedding presents returned from Lark, some mint julep glasses, which I don't even know what a mint julep is. And I opened them on Wednesday morning, and there was a very schmaltzy, loving, you know, happy to be your wife, together forever type card in there, and it just devastated me, I guess. I mean, I literally fell on the ground crying, and actually cried to the point where I started getting dehydrated, feeling fuzzy, and my urine getting dark. And it just literally drove me crazy. And I thought that somehow by having her come back to Carson, I could rekindle something that isn't there anymore.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know a whole lot of history. You kind of started in the middle,
Okay.
from what I understand. Let's back up. How did you and Lark meet?
Well, my brother-in-law is my best friend from medical school, so I've known him since 1981. And I've known Lark, about 10 years, I think. And I'd always kind of known that I couldn't have just a casual relationship with her. I kind of knew she was very special. And about 2 years ago, I actually moved her from Katy, Texas, which is outside of Houston, to Salt Lake. I drove the truck for her, and started more formal dating, I guess. And had a period of maybe about 3 or 4 months of being very intimate friends, and then she just kind of called it off. And then last year, just about at this time, actually I think it was June 10th or so, she had called me up and said that she wanted me in her life, and actually proposed to me. And we got married in a civil ceremony in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the 17th of October, and got married in a church service with all of her family there on the 1st of December. And everything was storybook wedding, hundreds of emails from her unsolicited about, love of her life, together forever, not with me saying, eliciting that from her. And then on the 25th after a great Valentine's Day, on the 25th of February, she decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. And I'm trying to think, on the 17th of April, she had divorce papers drawn up and asked me to sign them, I think, on May 2nd. I think it was May 2nd. And it wasn't that she misrepresented the law, but I think the law was misrepresented to her about what the grounds for an annulment or a divorce would be. But it came down to that she asked me if I would want her to be married if she didn't want to be married, and I said no, because I care very much about her. And so I signed the papers and she filed them, and they're not yet finalized now. And it's been very ambivalent, I guess is the right word. Painting kind of very beautiful images of us doing things together, and at the same time kind of methodically removing any artifact that I ever existed out of her life. And the package with the mint, there's a big box that she gave me on the 8th of June that had 3 boxes of mint julep boxes and papers that she thought she didn't want to have, and stuck the ring in there without even, telling me. And back on the 25th of February, she'd just taken her ring off and said that more or less she didn't want to be married anymore. And I think I'd responded that I wouldn't have married her if she didn't want to get married, and I wouldn't keep her married if she didn't, if she wanted to not be married. And I only told, my brother-in-law and her sister knew, and her mother and father knew, and my mother knew. And at work, I didn't tell anyone, didn't tell any other people at all, just kind of kept it all. I don't know, bottled up, I guess, or, kind of, I didn't want people to think badly of her, that she had just kind of broken all those promises and vows after only about 90 days.
Okay, so I have some things straight. I've got a couple questions going along, and I don't want to stop you while you're on a roll, but I need to get some things straight. When we talk about Lark,
that's
your wife. She's
yeah,
Lark
she's still.
Conte.
Well, no, she never. Lark Elliott. I think she only signed Lark Conte once or twice.
Okay. Your brother-in-law, your best friend?
Kevin Clark.
Okay.
And he's a surgeon in Bountiful, Utah.
Okay. And I want to clarify, when you guys got married, you told me the place where you got married.
Oh, St. Vincent, down in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's called St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
After that, did she move everything to Carson with you, or did you live apart?
Well, she kept her condo in Salt Lake. She never vacated it, but she moved all of her stuff down to, her down to Carson. And then pretty much, without telling me that she was moving back permanently, put everything in her car that she could, except for the wedding presents, I think. And then it was on, I think she made the decision on the 25th of February, and on March 3rd, she formally, I was back in Salt Lake, and she told me that she wasn't happy, and but she couldn't say why exactly, and just kind of said she more or less called off the marriage at that point.
Okay. When you talk about either misunderstanding or the law was misrepresented, or what did she list as her reasons for divorce?
That she was unhappy. And there was a list that's actually the reasons for divorce, like non-support, a whole list of things that she said were the reasons for an annulment, not for a divorce, and that she couldn't say any of them about me, like desertion for a year and things like that. And in reality, those weren't the reasons for annulment. Those were the grounds for divorce, and she wouldn't have been able to get a divorce unless I waived,
You didn't contest it.
Yeah, I didn't contest
Okay.
it. And the reasons for an annulment are like mental incapacity and a couple things. There's very few things, but
Okay.
but I don't think she misrepresented them. I think they were misrepresented to her.
Did you guys have any kind of domestic problems? I mean, all married couples have domestic problems, but
Not really.
major arguments,
Never.
fights, nothing
No,
physical?
nothing at all. The closest thing was that right about that time she called me up at work in the middle of a busy ER and said, "Why did you make me stop working?" She's a dental hygienist. And I had never told her to stop working. The original scope of things was I said she could keep her name if she wanted, because she's got a couple kids with that name, that she could stay living in Salt Lake and I would commute back, and that she could work if she wanted to, and she had decided she didn't want to work. And then I think she found out that she was in much greater debt than she had thought she was or told me she was. Now, she'd asked for $2,500 a month to pay her, to pay her bills, and I gave that to her, and then started paying all the statements that came to the house. And since March, it's been between $5,000 and $6,000 a month, which I give her, even through the divorce stuff and things like that, because I think that she thinks that being in debt is is a big burden on her, and I've been trying to help her get out of that.
Okay. You said that you thought that you might be able to rekindle stuff.
I said this ambivalence, she paints these, I guess she said she wanted to have more or less the same relationship but not be married. In other words, that somehow the piece of paper bothered her, or and irony, I guess, is that I went through my entire life not wanting to be married. I mean, making anti-marriage jokes all my life. I always said I'd have to serve crow for my reception. And I thought she was very, I mean, I knew her family, I knew her, I felt I knew what she would be like. And in truth, it's, even her family members have commented that it's like not the same person from a year ago. And I don't know what happened, and every time I question her, I never get a succinct answer. You know, she can't tell me how one, you know, on Valentine's Day everything is perfect, and on the 11 days later everything is thrown out the door. And even then she would send me notes and stuff, you know, thank you for your undying love and support. At the same time, she's kind of ridding herself of every vestige of my existence. And her family all loves me. And she refused to talk about this even with her mother, why this had happened. And her mother said it was the first time that it ever happened. And I think she felt that kind of what she was doing was wrong, and that's why she didn't want to make, you know, at first she was trying to keep it a secret from everyone, including her parents and her sister and brother-in-law, and was kind of upset with me that I let them know that, you know, she had more or less called things off.
What's your specialty? What's your
emergency medicine?
Emergency medicine. Have you noticed anything medically changing with her, or?
A lack of, you know, my mom thought it'd be, you know, was it menopause? And no, it isn't. She's not there yet. Her decision making is very, you just can't get her to make, kind of pin her down. She will not put anything in writing. She'll delete anything she puts in her computer, or shred it. And I thought that the fact that she had put so much in writing down was a big positive step.
Uh-huh.
You know, we were kidding about when we were trying to find a date that my mother could make and her folks could make, that she was penciling in the date in the calendar, and then she finally put, you know, magic marker, arrows all over the place, this is the date.
Uh-huh.
You know, and she's back to this like no concrete calendar, no all kind of mental processes. I haven't noticed anything physically changing about her.
When she was in Salt Lake and you were here, did you guys communicate on telephone, email?
Telephone, email, you know, daily. And then I work 7 or 8 days in a row, and so, and then I get 6 or 7 days off, and so we would always get, depended when, on her work schedule. She usually works Monday through Friday, but early, she didn't start working full-time until March again, till after the Olympics were over, and so
Okay.
we would go, and I've got a place near in southern Utah near Zion, and we'd go there to go snowmobiling or something like that, and I went to a CME conference in Yosemite, and so she didn't. And then when I was working, a lot of times she'd go back to Salt Lake because she's got a daughter who's getting married at the end of August, and there was all this planning and stuff to do for that.
Okay. Now, when she would email you, do you save these emails?
Yeah.
I mean, so that we could see a progression of what's
Yeah.
going on there with her, things are changing. Now,
Yeah.
you talked about she doesn't keep anything in writing. Is she somebody that, as far as you know, she deletes or shreds or whatever your emails that you send to her?
Yes, I was kind of surprised because I sent her a big thick folder of emails with all the, together forever, or always, love of my life, all that stuff highlighted. And I was kind of surprised she didn't shred that. She just said, I never want to see my life in print, I think she said. She didn't want me to send copies of those emails like to her family going, look at this and stuff like that.
So was that something that was sent back to you? You talked about papers.
No, I saw it in her condo.
Oh, okay.
I saw the folder that I had sent the stuff in.
Okay, so she saved that, and that
Yeah.
surprised you.
Yeah, I thought she
Okay.
would have
Well,
tossed it all out.
tell me about what went about you bringing her back here to try to rekindle.
Well, I don't know if I don't know what about that would be incriminating, I guess. But she got in my truck voluntarily, but she'd been taking some medicine, voluntarily, not coerced. And was acting like she was tipsy, I guess, but still able to make decisions and able to walk and navigate.
Okay. When was this that she got into your truck voluntarily?
At about 3:30 this morning.
And you drove back here?
Yeah,
And when we talk about your truck, you have two trucks?
yeah.
Which truck were you driving?
Dodge Cummins diesel.
The silver one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I kind of looked at that up on your property. It looks like it's just jam-packed full of stuff.
Yeah.
Where did she ride in your truck?
She rode in the back.
In the back, in the covered bed portion?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of things you guys talk about on your ride here?
Oh. She slept for a good part of it, and then started going through everything that was in the back of the truck. And I guess that's about as far as I'd want to go in characterizing that.
Okay. It may just be me. I kind of find it unusual. I mean, if you got the front of your truck packed up with all this stuff, and you've got all this room in the back, why you didn't transfer the stuff in the front to the back and let her sit up front with you?
The dog's up front.
Oh, okay.
And and she was very sleepy when she got in, so there's a place to lay down in the back.
Okay. Do you have a key to her place in Utah?
No, she has a electronic lock. You know, jiggle number, jiggle the doorknob one way, jiggle it, and it unlocks. So.
But that's something you knew the combination to, or something like that. Okay. Did you, when you went to visit prior to this time, I mean, did you go at times she'd be at work, so you had to have the combination to get in and be there when she got home from work? Or?
She'd give it to me. I mean, she gave it to me for that.
Okay. Let's talk about what this evening that led up to us coming up to your house.
Well, she missed work, and work called her sister, and started kind of a cascade of everyone wondering where she was. And so I ended up giving her a phone and saying, call people and let them know. And her daughter went, I would say, hysterical on the phone. And I think she called you guys. And I got all these calls from her family members, and Kevin called and said that, you know, the police are on their way there, and I sat out on the stoop, helped her load up. She couldn't drive the silver truck. She couldn't. So transferred the stuff into the little red truck. And got, you know, a hug and a kiss goodbye, and I'd called a nurse friend of mine who takes care of the dogs, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I wanted someone to take care of the dogs, and she came up and actually brought another nurse who used to work in the ER, who are both good friends with Lark and with me. And so Barbara Lean, I think is her, L-E-H-N, was going to drive Lark down to I guess to a hotel or a motel or something for the night. And then she was going to drive back in the morning. And I was just sitting there waiting, and then I saw, despite all the signs, everyone has trouble finding my driveway, and I saw the one sheriff's car parked on the wrong, you know, hadn't made the turn, so I walked down to see him and motioned him up my driveway, and felt he'd be more comfortable if I was away from the house and could, you know, could see I was unarmed and everything. And so he introduced himself, and then the officers came a little bit later and put the handcuffs on me and said I was not under arrest at that time, and then I think you came and told me I was under arrest.
Okay, yeah, let me, the tape switch told me. It is 12:16 by my watch, or 00:16 on the morning of the 22nd of June. I have to say that my watch is set 5 minutes fast, that way I'm not late anywhere, so I have to tell people it's by my watch.
Time.
Yeah. When you were putting stuff in the red truck,
Yeah.
was it Lark stuff?
Yeah, it was all Lark stuff.
So Did you guys load that up in Utah to bring it out here?
No, I loaded it up in Utah to bring it out here.
And before she got home?
No, after, actually while she was there.
Okay, is that something she knew was going on? And
She was sleeping and
what medication was she taking?
she took some Ativan, which is a benzodiazepine, and some cough syrup. And she took a couple slugs of her daughter's oral Demerol and had some vodka.
Okay,
And,
now, being not of the medical profession, a benzodiazepine, I've heard the term before, but I'm not a narcotics cop, so it doesn't...
It's in the Valium family, but Ativan is, it's cleared by the kidneys instead of by the liver, so it's a lot safer.
Okay, and why did she have this?
I offered it to her.
Something you brought with you from here?
Yeah.
And why did you offer it to her?
Trying to get her to go to sleep. And she just kept, has a tremendous, I guess, capacity to, she's a moderately heavy drinker, and I guess that gives her the capacity to take stuff like that and they would have put me to sleep.
Okay, now, just so I'm clear here, why were you trying to get her to go to sleep?
I guess I'll have to not, I think that might incriminate me or something.
Okay.
I didn't want to do anything to her, but I was loading the truck while she was sleeping.
Okay.
I guess I thought she'd wake up in Carson and some catharsis would happen. And
Okay, so again, I'm confused, and bear with me. This is my first night of a swing shift rotation. I've normally been in bed for about 3 hours by now, so bear with me just a little bit. That would kind of give me the impression that maybe she wasn't coming along willingly.
no, she made the decision to get in the truck willingly.
Okay.
In no uncertain terms.
Now, this medication and alcohol and Demerol that she'd taken, this wouldn't have affected her ability to make that kind of decision?
No, her decision making was okay, but she kept dozing off, I guess.
Okay.
You know, was acting like, but I mean, if you'd ask her how much 2 and 2 was, it'd always be 4.
Okay.
You know, it probably lowered her inhibitions in that she started talking about stuff that she'd always hold back about talking about otherwise.
Okay. Speaking of lowering inhibitions, during any of this, either in Utah, the trip to here, or here before we got involved in all of this stuff, had you guys had relations, intercourse?
I guess I'd rather not say.
Okay. For personal reasons or in reasons that you feel may incriminate you?
I think both.
Okay. Who made the decision this evening that she was going to pack up her stuff and leave, go to a hotel or go back to Salt Lake?
She did.
Okay, so the catharsis that you were hoping for didn't happen.
No.
Okay, but she was still, now, when you were loading the red truck, you said she couldn't drive.
She acted very ataxic.
Okay, another one of those terms you got to explain for the...
Staggering.
Okay.
And she hadn't had anything since 3:30 in the morning, and it was 6, at least that I know of, and it was 6 something in the evening.
Had she had free run of the house prior to then, that she could have gotten something that you didn't see?
No, not really. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think that, I mean, she's more a drinker than
Okay.
than
Other than the Ativan, would there be anything in your house controlled substance-wise that she could have gotten that may have put her in this staggering sort of state?
no. And I wasn't sure if it was, sometimes it seemed more fatigue, because she hadn't really slept very soundly, and I didn't sleep at all. And but I didn't feel it was, it's a very windy, kind of treacherous road down to 395, and so I didn't think she should drive it. So I hoped that she would accept my friend's offer to drive her, and I'm not sure what happened to them, because the car was still there when we turned around. And I don't know, the other nurse, I saw her walk by to the squads behind me, but I never saw her come back. She had the house phone in her hand, because when I saw the squad car, I'd left it sitting on the railing, and so she'd gone back to get it, because we kept getting all these phone calls of,
Okay. I'd like to touch on something else. We've heard some sort of wild things from some folks tonight. I'd kind of like to get into some of those areas. I understand that you're a collector of firearms, I guess.
I have a Class 3 importer's license.
Okay. We talked about up at your house explosives, things like that.
Yeah, there are no explosives of any kind.
Hand grenades.
No.
Do you have any kind of components, whether or not they're assembled
No,
or not?
I have no black powder, I have no fuses, I have no detonators. There's another license you need, even if you keep black powder,
Okay.
or Pyrodex, which is modern black powder, and I don't have any of that stuff at all.
Okay. Do you have any weapons, like automatic weapons?
No, I have no automatic weapons. I have some suppressed weapons.
Okay.
that Class 3 dealers, and I've never imported anything, but I have an importer's license.
Okay.
And it could, I guess, I could import fully automatic weapons. I've just never done it. I've always thought I would only do that through, for a police department or something like that. And I've talked to several police departments about, being a HK supplier for like their SWAT teams or whatever, and it seems like no SWAT team stays together long enough. I mean, the leadership of it, the Shurs, the Indian, they have a new head of their law enforcement department almost every other month, and so there's no one who can really make a decision.
People change, go in and out.
But there are none of those. I don't own any or stock any fully automatic weapons.
Okay. How many weapons do you have at your house? And if that's going to be difficult, round numbers.
I would think 40 maybe.
Okay.
Most of them in a safe in the in the garage. It's a fireproof gun safe.
Okay.
And in the house itself, maybe 10 to 12.
Okay. Handguns?
There's
the whole-
long guns and I'd say about half and half. I can probably tell you where stuff is if that would make it easier for you.
It will. One of the things I was going to ask you is, we didn't go into your house tonight.
Yeah, I know. You said you wanted to do it during the day.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Do you want me to walk you through it? Would
Oh,
you
that-
feel safer? Or?
That may be an option.
Okay.
And I've got to talk to people that have got more juice than I do to deal with something like that. When we go there, what we'd like to do is naturally, I mean, you tell us you have this license, and that's something that we can check. But what we'd like to do is check and make sure all the weapons are legal. So
That's okay.
We would probably need the combination to the safe.
It's actually, I think I have it so that you just use the, it has a key and the combination, and I think it's just the key, and I can tell you where the key is.
Okay, it's not on your key ring?
No,
that you had
it's
tonight?
one of those kind of long things that would poke you if you put it on a key ring. It's
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know if it's got more tumblers or whatever, and but I thought you only wanted to look for people.
Well, initially, and I'll explain a little bit to that as we go along, but then we kind of worked that out. Some of it was a misunderstanding that we kind of worked out.
Okay.
But we will like to, go in there and check and make sure that your guns are all legal.
There's a combination of private guns I had before I got the firearms license, and then there are ones, and to tell you the truth, right this instant I can't, there's I have a bound book that has the weapons that have been that I've obtained since I had the federal firearms license, and I'm not sure that I can tell you exactly where that is. Saying it's in this drawer. I'm pretty sure I know that it's in a satchel or a cloth briefcase, but I can't be absolutely positive.
Okay. You mentioned HK. That brings up something. Do you have a relationship with HK Consulting or?
Not anymore. I've done their tactical medicine course twice, and
As a student or an instructor?
as a student,
Okay.
and I've offered to be the SWAT doc for Carson and for Douglas, and again, it's another one of those things where no one can seems to want to make a commitment. They can't think of there's a term, and I can't think of what it is, that if you, more or less, if you know that there's something available to you and you don't make use of it and have a bad outcome, and that's, and it's something that would be an inconvenience for me to be the SWAT doc, so it's something I said, I'll do this, but I don't keep saying every month, well,
Yeah.
do you want to, it's something I offered to do, but I'm not going to keep bugging people about it. And I just let them, usually the SORT or whatever guys that I see know that the offer's still good. And
Okay. How about being a mercenary? Can you tell me about that?
no, I'm not a mercenary. I mean, I'm a doctor.
Is this a fantasy thing that these people are telling me about?
I
or-
think so. I think that they would like to think that if I have all these, I'm a very good shot.
Okay.
As far as But you know, I don't think I shoot a half dozen times a year.
Okay, well, you know, I've heard some things, and it's kind of far-fetched. You know, I don't know the Hippocratic Oath, but from some of the things that I've heard, I think it's kind of in conflict with, you know, you take an oath to save people, and then you go off and you're killing people.
I don't do that.
Okay, I mean, we're hearing that you go off for 2 weeks at a time. You've come home with wounds. Travel to exotic lands. You're a contract mercenary.
No.
We've got people telling us that as recently as a month ago you were in Afghanistan.
I think that it might be, the more I deny it, the more people want to believe it. And if you look at my schedule, I never get 2 weeks off.
Well, I was going to say, do you go on 2-week vacations for any other purpose that these
No,
people might be construing that you're...
I went, the longest vacation I've had was for the millennium. I work only nights, so they will give me pretty much what I want, but I work 16 shifts a month.
Mhm.
And I don't work 16 days on and 14 days off. I work, usually it ends up being 8 days on and then 6 or 7 days off, and then 8 days on and then 6 or 7 days off. So I don't have
Big bunch of time to be going off to foreign lands.
no. I mean, the travel time, by the time you get somewhere,
Yeah.
if you took 2 or 3 days to get somewhere, you'd have a day there.
Any idea where these people got this fantasy started that is basically worked its way through an entire family?
I think I am a member of the Special Operations Association, and which is more as a I don't want to say fan, but as I admire those people and but I see them once a year for 3 or 4 days. I mean, people like G. Gordon Liddy and some Medal of Honor winners, and but I am an associate member. I do not meet the criteria for being a real member.
Were you in the military?
No, I've never been in the military. I've never taken one step forward. I think they make you take, when you, I don't know if they still do that. I think maybe I saw it in the movie, that when you give your oath to join the military, they make you take one step forward so that no one can say they mumbled the words or whatever, and it's, but I've never been in the military. I've never been in the paramilitary. The HK conferences is about as close, and those are for doctors and paramedics for the most part, and the PJs, the pararescue jumpers from the Air Force, have been a big section of those when I've done them. And I do it because I get continuing medical education credits for having a blast. I mean, it's the only time I get to hold a fully automatic, an MP5 is during those courses. Otherwise, I'd never get to. And that's the only time I've ever shot anything that was fully automatic, was in those courses.
Okay. Kevin Clark,
Yeah.
your best friend, does he buy into this fantasy?
I think because we were in Grenada and Grenada got invaded. See, he got out of Grenada and went to Arkansas, and I stayed in. I did my entire medical school through St. George's in Grenada and ended up in England. And there's a photograph of the invasion that looks just like me. But I was in England when they did the invasion and not in Grenada. And it's some other guy with a beard and it's another one of these things, the more you deny it, the more
They think,
people go,
okay, yeah, he's hiding something.
It's like where I spent my honeymoon is an island in the Grenadines called PSV, Petite Saint Vincent. And I was sailing there once with a local guy, and he told them I was a movie star from the kind of B movies that run down there. And the more I denied it, the more I showed him a credit card that had my name on it instead of that guy's, the more they were convinced that that was me. And I think that's kind of the same sort of thing.
Okay. Lark is telling a little bit of a different story as far as the voluntariness of coming back to Carson City.
She, in truth, can't remember is what she told me.
Well, she seems to be remembering now.
Or the way she wants to remember it.
Okay, she states that you were waiting for her when she got home from work. You were wearing a mask, you were wearing gloves.
I was not wearing a mask.
You put something over her face that drugged her, and then apparently gave her the option she could drink this Ativan or she could get zapped with a cattle prod.
Absolutely not. I did not have a mask on. I did not put anything over her face to
Okay, well,
I don't know where I think I don't know why she's saying that.
okay, well, understand my position here.
No, I understand.
Okay. This starts off with some frantic phone calls from relatives.
Yeah.
Okay, they're telling us that you've made statements, they've talked to you on the phone, you've made statements that you're going to kill Lark and kill yourself.
Absolutely not.
Then it changed to you weren't going to kill her, but you're going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Then it changed from that to you were going to let her go and you were going to come out and meet the police, which eventually ended up happening, depending on how we look at that. She tells us that she was kidnapped, basically. She was drugged and kidnapped. During the journey, she said she awoke at one point in the back of the truck, tried to attack you with a crowbar, and you zapped her with a cattle prod. Okay. She told us that she was handcuffed. There is evidence of being handcuffed. And he just kind of gave an indication of resignation that could be true.
No, I just
or am I misreading that?
Just no comment.
Okay, and now, understanding that I'm hearing all of this, and throughout our 45-minute, almost an hour talk here now, there have been times that we get to issues that say you don't want to incriminate yourself, you'd rather not talk about that, which leads me to believe, as a detective, the type of guy that is out to get information and fairly suspicious of people as we go along, that there might be some truth to this because you're not wanting to talk about it. I told you earlier that I'm not in the business of ruining people's lives, okay? I don't get any points. I don't get any extra pay or anything like that. If you go to jail or if you don't go to jail, I don't get a gold star. Basically, my business as a detective, it's not near as sexy as it is on TV. I get a stack of papers over here that my sergeant says, work this. And I got to put it in this stack over here that I say, sign this to him. And somewhere along the way, I got to make people happy and find out the truth. Okay?
I guess I keep thinking that if I had a lawyer here, he'd say, don't answer any of those questions, is what I'm thinking when I don't want to answer those questions. And I know you guys have a term, I think it's lawyering up.
It's a TV term.
You know, and I think it's been close to 65 hours since I've slept now, and I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret.
I mean, what are we supposed to think, though? I mean, we've got this lady, she's drugged up with something, and you say that she's been altered, staggering, and things like that. We're going to do a tox test on her. We're going to get copies of the medical records, figure out what's in there. Based on what she's telling us so far, I'm pretty sure she's going to continue to tell us that she didn't take this willingly. She tells us she's been in handcuffs for a number of hours in the back of this truck. She told Barb, when Barb said, get out of the back of the truck, because that's where Barb found her, she says, well, I've been in here for a day, I might as well stay in here. And she's got evidence on her wrist, as you do right now, that she was handcuffed. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. I mean, was she handcuffed because you felt she was a danger to herself, that she could hurt herself? I mean, these are things that I've got to explain, and I want to hear both sides to the story. I mean, you know, you're telling me that over the past few months, even her family is seeing that she's a different person. You know, and are these the rantings of a mad woman or what? And if I can't just take heads, the one side of the coin, without hearing tails.
I understand.
You know, I've got to get the whole picture here. This could be a whole different ball of wax than what we're looking at right now. I mean, I've got cops in Utah working a crime scene there, or what we believe may be a crime scene.
I guess I still just don't want to comment.
Okay, I mean, we're going to get search warrants. I'm going to apply for search warrants and go up and search your house, search trucks, you know, do the whole 9 yards, looking for evidence of what she's telling us. Okay? You know, I mean, I really don't want to have to ransack your place. I mean, one of the things I'm concerned about is our safety. I mean, you're telling me all this stuff is not true, and this is just a fantasy that the more you deny it, everybody's going. And you can see where I'm coming from now when I'm asking you about all these explosives earlier tonight, you know, where all this was coming from. But, you know, it's got people all over the country scared, you know. I mean, they're close family members. There's people in Louisiana, people in Utah, people in Colorado, and I can't keep the numbers straight. These people that are calling me wanting to know what's going on. You know, Barb tells us that when she got there, you handed her the telephone, and it was your mother on the phone. And your mother said, don't leave him alone, he's going to kill himself. Okay.
No, I think I'm not a threat to myself. I'm not a threat to anyone. I mean, I deal with people like that on a daily basis at work. I do have handcuffs, and you'll find them when you look through the place. And
am I going to find a stun gun or a cattle prod?
I used to keep one near the back door because literally I had a black bear on the porch, and I also have a foghorn and pepper spray at the same place.
Okay, now when you say you used to keep one, we're talking a cattle prod or a stun gun?
A stun gun.
The little handheld jobs?
No, it's baton-like.
Baton-like thing. Okay. I haven't been at the hospital with Lark. Are we going to find some kind of marks on her that are going to be consistent with this thing? Because they leave marks when people are zapped with them.
I don't want Which hospital did she go to?
That I'm not sure.
I hope it...
I know she left in an ambulance. I wasn't part of the decision making as to where she was, because she was in an altered state. We had information that she might be drugged. We had to contact the paramedics to look at her. She was transported by paramedics for evaluation by a doctor. I don't know which facility.
Probably the one I work at.
You know, I don't know what happened, and that's the fire department handles where they go. Okay. And they're going to do a full examination on her. You know, we talked about having sexual intercourse. You didn't want to comment on that. I can understand that, but one of the things that she told us is that when she woke up, her bra and panties had been removed.
She took a shower.
Okay, I mean, is this something that, you know, or do we have a whole different ball of wax here? Are we looking, you know, did something happen to her willingly, or did something happen to her against her will? Which, whether you're married or not, if it happens against her will, we've got a problem, and I'm sure you've dealt with cases like that.
And nothing happened against her will, but whether her memory will serve her is another thing.
But then again, something that we're dealing with here, and what I don't know, I mean, you know more about this than I do, and you probably know because we talked a little bit out at your house that you kind of realize what we do in my profession is that the effects of whatever medication, narcotics, or whatever that she is on.
Do you have to put the date and time?
Yeah, I will. I'm waiting for the leader to go. But it is now the 22nd of June. It is 0049 by my watch. It is the 22nd in the year 2000. This is tape number 2, side A, Investigator Rick Brown and Dr. Richard Conte. We were talking about, just still kind of rambling on about the possibility. Lark told us that when she woke up, she was minus her bra and underwear, and we were talking about sexual intercourse. You'd earlier made the comment you didn't want to go there.
We took a shower together, and she took off her bra and panties and only put on her and actually put on her scrub top backwards, and I told her because the pockets were in the back and she didn't want to change it around.
How long, now you said that she's being a drinker, she might have a bit of a tolerance to this medication. How long does this Ativan
That's what I
normally affect people?
6 hours. It's a 6-hour medicine. That's why I don't understand how she had a period where it didn't seem to affect her at all, and then seemed to get ataxic like 15 hours after she'd had some. And
She been eating during this period? I mean,
no, she had not.
Did you, on your drive from Salt Lake to here, did you stop and get anything to eat? Fast food, nothing, truck stops?
No, because to get enough fuel to make the trip without stopping, so, and she didn't ask to stop.
Enough fuel to make the whole trip?
Yeah.
From Carson to Utah and Utah back?
No, from Utah to Carson. Actually, I can probably go, trying to think, 73 times 14 is 700 plus close to 1,000 miles. So almost could go there and back.
So did you have to gas up though between?
No, I'd got fuel in Cedar City.
On the way?
Yeah, on the way up to Salt Lake, and that was enough to get
All the way back?
Yeah.
How about you having to take a leak or anything? I mean, how long of a drive are we talking about?
I think it's 7 hours.
You didn't have to stop to take a leak or
No.
Get a cup of coffee to stay awake, or?
I was drinking Mountain Dew.
Okay, better than coffee. She didn't have to use the restroom at all, or?
She didn't ask to.
Okay. Was she able to ask to?
Yes.
Okay. So, her coming up with this story of you with a mask and gloves and
An ether or chloroform, is that what she's saying?
well, I don't know that she actually told anybody a substance. She said you put something over her face.
No. I don't. I think she recently had her ex-husband murdered, and she was told by the police that they used chloroform on him. And I don't know if she's getting the stories mixed up because of her altered state.
Okay, but there's...
Will the tox screen show chloroform, or, I mean, I don't know if it's capable of doing it.
I don't know.
But
Once again, we're out of my realm of expertise.
I don't remember
but
seeing it.
in the areas that I am concerned with, there are bits of truth to what she's telling us that, I've got to explain. Okay? I mean, she talks about being drugged. Okay, she was drugged, but you said willingly. You offered it to her because you want her to go to sleep. And you exactly don't want to tell me why you want her to go to sleep. I'm going to have to infer at this point you wanted her to go to sleep because you wanted her compliant to get her into the car and bring her back here. Okay. Now you say that she came along willingly, but I don't know how willingly somebody is at this point. Then we've got this whole sexy fantasy about you being a mercenary and some kind of killer. Now I don't know if she's feeling threatened. She's scared of you at this point. Now that she's under the influence of something, this whole fantasy is getting to be a real weird thing. Excuse me.
Okay. Just wanted to check to see how things were going. You need anything any refreshments,
No,
anything
I'm
to drink?
okay.
This is my boss, Mike
Hi.
Genie.
How you doing? Why don't you come on up for a second? Sure you don't want water?
I'm okay, I think.
Nothing at all?
No.
I'm sorry, I'm back. You mentioned driving along. You're going up there, you stop in Cedar City. Is that where your cabin is?
It's above Cedar City at Duck Creek.
Duck Creek. Did you stop at your cabin?
I was there for about 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
So, okay, today being the 22nd, let's go back to the 21st. You drove out here the early morning on the 20th?
I'm having
I don't have a
trouble-
calendar for you to
I'm
look at.
trying
So, when did you leave Carson?
I can't remember what my last day of work was. I think it was... I think I got off Saturday morning and slept overnight, like around the clock once. I usually try and stay up to the evening after I finish a long stretch of nights, to the next evening, and then sleep through to get to a day schedule. And then I think I stayed in town Sunday and went to the cabin Monday. I was there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to Thursday.
And
left
then
the
drove up
cabin.
together.
Yeah.
Okay, when did you make the decision that you were going to try to win her back?
I opened, the last time I slept was, I opened up the package on Wednesday morning. I brought it,
You took it with you?
yeah, there was like a 3 by 3 by 3 foot box that had this stuff in it along with other things, and I knew that that was in the bottom of it, and there was no point in opening it up. You know, she wanted him to be at the cabin, so I started digging the stuff out of, and I piled others, because it was such a big box, I piled other stuff that went out to the cabin in it, and then finally got down to those things on Wednesday morning.
Okay. When did you get to her condo?
Around 4:30, I think.
In the afternoon on
On Thursday.
Thursday? When does she get home from work?
5:30.
5:30. Okay.
But I think, I was sitting on the couch, I think she got home later than usual. But I can't remember how much later than usual.
Okay. Had you already packed some of her stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Good majority of it, or?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Things that were easy, like empty a drawer.
Okay. And you left to come back to Carson City at 3:30 in the morning?
Yes.
What did you do between 5:30 and 3:30?
We talked, and I think it was maybe 6:30 or something, which it seemed to me that was later than normal when she got back. We took a shower. And she talked and dozed for only a few minutes at a time, and then she'd be up and wandering around, you know.
Did you offer the Ativan right away when she got home?
No, not till like 11 or 12 or something.
Okay.
I mean, when you'd go to sleep.
Yeah. You took a shower together there?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take another shower together back at your place in Carson?
I took one because I was gonna try and go to work, and then I realized that I was too tired to work because I'd been up for too long.
So were you due to go back to work?
Yeah, I was supposed to work tonight.
Okay. You called in sick, or?
I called in and told them I was having trouble, that my marriage was breaking up, and that I had, and the guy who was on insisted that I call while I'm getting all these other calls from people, that I call around to the other partners and get someone to cover for me.
Okay. So when Lark tells us that she doesn't have her bra and panties, and you said you took a shower together and she only put back her outer clothing, where
Yes.
was that at?
That was in Salt Lake.
Salt Lake. Okay, when you came home, which way did you go?
I-80.
80. You didn't go back through Cedar City?
No,
Didn't go back down to the cabin?
no. Went
Okay.
through I-80 to Fernley, and then 50. It's just the shortest way to go.
Did Lark know you were coming?
No, I had not told her I was going to come.
Did you email her?
I'd emailed, we'd been emailing back and forth. But I didn't say I'm going to be there Thursday yet. I'd been there, I guess it was 2 weeks. Was that the 8th and I don't have a calendar, so I don't know. I was there on the 8th, because I remember her I brought paintings for her sister and for her, and some other things, and we sat and talked for a couple hours. And I guess I thought if I said I'm going to be there, she'd have a hair appointment or so, you know, that she'd been, again, this real ambivalent, thank you so much for everything you've done. I appreciate everything you've done. But then very kind of cold at times. And that's the biggest thing I've seen in her personality, is this very she's been reading and listening to all kinds of self-help books and tapes, and the whole thing about not being a victim, and you know, they have very. I read one of the books that she, you know, got the same book that she was reading, and it seemed to have a very cynical view of life, I guess, and
Okay. Do you remember the bra and underpants that she had on? You remember what they looked like?
yeah, they were white.
Okay. And they're still in the Utah?
In all truth, I took the panties and stuffed them in my pocket, and put the bra in her dirty stack of dirty laundry. And she put her same socks back on that she had had on, and her same shoes back on that she'd had on, and her same scrub bottoms and top.
Okay. And the panties are still in the pocket of...
No, I took them out of the pocket and put them in a drawer at home.
At your house?
Yeah. It has a bunch of her other stuff that she's left there.
Why take the panties?
I don't know. She is like a walking ad for thong underwear, and I guess I still like to have anything that reminds me of her.
Okay, I can understand that. You told me earlier you have guns with silencers on them.
Yeah,
Do you have scoped weapons?
yeah.
Do you have scoped weapons with silencers on them?
There's a Ruger 1022 with a scope on it, and there's a Ruger 1022 with like an aim point or something that you see a dot on them, and I don't have any other long. I have suppressors for long guns that are still sealed up that I got good deals on because they like put the wrong name on them. You know, the called it a thunder trap instead of something else. So I've got ones for 30 caliber and one that's supposed to fit right on to the lugs on an MP5, and I don't have an MP5 to put it on. So those have never even been taken out of there.
When you travel to your cabin or travel anywhere else, where else do you take weapons with you?
Usually.
When you travel this
Usually
time?
a long gun. I think I think I have the 1022 2 with the scope on it in the truck now. I usually carry that or 22 250 for coyotes. And,
Handguns?
I have had a concealed carry permit, so I have usually carry H&K MP5.
I thought you did.
Not MP7 M13 pistol, the squeeze cocker, yeah.
Okay.
And because that's what is on my, that's one of the 2 guns on my permit.
Okay.
And
Did you take any handguns with you on this trip?
yeah, the HK P7 M13 is always in either my backpack or my, canvas bag, what do they call it? Looks like a grocery bag full of stuff.
Okay. Do you have a handgun with a scope and a silencer on it, or a suppressor?
No,
Stainless steel?
no,
No. Okay. You have a big, thick red rope?
yeah.
What's that for?
It's, my boat is all red. I wrap all the stuff, all the stainless on it in red. And so it's not cold when you grab it.
Why'd you need it in your truck?
In truth, I thought it was a little kinky.
Did you use it for any kinky things on this trip with...
No,
So when Lark's telling us that she was bound with this red rope,
it's never,
had a chair set up and bound with a red rope?
no.
No. So when we take this red rope up to the lab, we're not going to find any of her hairs or any of her skin or anything like that on it?
She tried to, I don't know. Somehow she tried to attack me with it. And we ended up playing tug of war while I'm driving. And she's got her feet up, braced up, pulling it. I don't know what she wanted. I mean, what she thought she'd do with that. But she was never bound with anything that was constricting in any way or...
Well, I'm having a bit of a problem with that. Because when I asked you about handcuffs, and she's got marks on her arms from handcuffs, you didn't want to talk about that. You didn't want to incriminate yourself with that. Okay, well, she wasn't bound. Why can't we talk about it? Okay, now we talk about this rope. You brought this rope along because you thought things might get kinky or something. Now, if you guys are on the outs, you're going through a divorce, and you're trying to win this woman back, unless kinky tying up stuff has been something throughout your relationship, springing that on a lady isn't normally going to bring about that catharsis. Okay, because I think what we're doing is we're dancing around the truth here. And we need to figure out what exactly happened and get to figuring out how to work this out. If you need some professional help, get you some professional help or something. But I just find it hard to believe, and maybe I'm sort of naive, and I'm one of those guys that, you know, is probably more chivalrous than men are these days, but that was the way that I was raised. But I mean, if you're trying to win a woman back, unless tying up and getting kinky has been something that you've done a lot, it's not going to win her back the first time you do it.
It was more symbolic of than actual than actually restraining her. She could have stood up at any time. She could have, and I just wanted to sit her down and talk to her.
So she was restrained with the rope.
She wasn't restrained. but there were 2 loops around her that were not tight, and there was never a knot. You know, I mean, it was never tied off. It was just loop. There's a loop on it, and there was 1 loop around her, and the rest of the rope was laying loose. And in truth, she could stand up. She could do anything she wanted. It was just kind of, I want you to stay in this chair and let me talk to you. But it did not restrain her in any way. It was just a kind
In
of...
her mind, was she restrained? Because she
I
was
don't think
out
so.
of it?
No, it's hard to say what she's, because she keeps... you have to flip it, or...
It flips itself,
Oh.
but I need to let it know that we are at 0120 by my watch on side B of tape 2. Now, were there handcuffs there for symbolic reasons?
I don't think I want to comment on that.
Okay. That leads me to believe that there were handcuffs there for symbolic or other reasons.
I just don't want to comment.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're thinking, and that's...
You ever been to Arkansas?
No.
No? How long ago was her ex-husband killed?
I think it was on a Sunday, like the 18th or 19th of May. I don't have a calendar. I'm trying to remember from his obit.
You know any of the circumstances behind that?
Only what she's told me. It sounds like it was a professional hit by several people, because both he and I think his bodyguard were killed.
He and his bodyguard? What kind of business was this guy in?
Well, she says drugs. He ran a chemical company, and I never met him. I talked to him twice on the phone, and he was very intoxicated both times. He had a corporate jet. As a matter of fact, I thought he was still in San Francisco. That's the last day. He had an ex-wife who was a pediatrician doing a fellowship in San Francisco, and last I'd heard he was there.
What was his name?
Carter Elliott.
Carter Elliott? Can you see the problems I'm having with this?
With,
Well, between her story and your story, and as far-fetched as her story sounded, and things are kind of falling into place with it. Okay, and without knowing the full truth behind it, I mean, it's kind of putting us in a tough spot.
no, I understand. I asked her specifically at each intersection of what was happening if it was okay. But sorry.
It's okay, I'm hungry too.
And got a yes when each step with each intersection that was gotten to, but did I feel bad because I let her down, but did I do stuff that was illegal? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
How voluntary is the yes? I mean, when you're under the influence of something, you may or may not have handcuffs on for symbolism or other reasons. You may or may not be facing a stun gun at every time the question's asked. You still want to go along with me on this? Oh, by the way, I got the stun gun in my hand. I mean, how voluntary is that stuff?
her decision-making skills were not affected, but her memory was affected by, in other words, she could.
Now, you probably realize as well as I do, whether from TV, reading, or being involved with law enforcement and stuff like that, when and if this goes to court, we're going to be able to get some doctor, probably, that's going to say, yes, this could have affected her decision-making ability.
Sure, and you can get a doctor to say anything you want. That's my, I've had doctors swear in malpractice cases that I did malpractice to a patient that I never saw. But he would swear to it in a court of law, and it takes money and lawyers to get your name withdrawn from a case where you've never even seen the patient.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what I saw in her, what was going on. In her decision making was fine. Her memory was, she kept talking about people that weren't there. I don't think in the sense of hallucination, but like in the sense of blending something that had happened a day or two before and thinking it was that day. And but if you'd say, do you want to do this, yes or no, I don't think her decision making was affected.
Okay. You don't think the symbolic wrap around the rope could have had anything to, I mean, do you think this woman could have been scared?
I think I startled her and scared her initially because she didn't know I was going to be there. But
Over the next 10 hours, she calmed down?
she calmed down almost immediately.
Is that a defense mechanism because she figures if she freaks out, things are going to get worse?
I don't think so. I think she is a very, very independent woman who wouldn't condescend to something.
Okay. Did you ever use the stun gun for symbolism purposes? You know how sometimes those things you press the button on and just the mere sound of that strikes fear in. Get her attention.
I showed it to her. I actually shocked myself by accident in my left arm, and I was kind of surprised at it. I thought you were supposed to
Lay you flat out?
fall. Yeah, you see the pictures of them doing the tasers, and the guys are all
Different ball of wax.
and it made my hand numb. But it was put away for 9.5 hours, 9 3/4 hours. It was not used to intimidate her. And it's just like the stainless steel. I don't think I own stainless steel or a polished.
Okay, now that may be, I may have misunderstood that portion of it, but a handgun with a scope and a suppressor or silencer on it. No.
No.
How
I
about
don't have
that?
any
How
scoped.
about the P7? Did you show her that like you did the stun
No,
gun?
it never even got out of my truck.
Okay. If you didn't show her the stun gun to intimidate her with, what did you show her for? It's just another one of them kinky things that was going to bring her around?
I don't know. I was my whole thinking process was screwed up from the time I opened up, till when I saw this note. I just
I mean, I can understand
not-
that. I mean,
could not think straight. I mean, I thought
your world as you know it is coming to an end.
and the other thing is I'd hidden it from everyone except about 3 people to talk about it. So I couldn't get any support from people because I didn't let anyone know what was going on.
So you're dealing with all this yourself. You don't have any, any confidant that you can talk to about it and get reassurance that,
And then I'm getting all these mixed messages from her that we'll be sipping mimosas out at the point. I have some property that's not it's about 7 miles from the cabin. That's this view called Zion View, and it's like a little miniature Bryce Canyon. And she's saying, we'll take the mint julep glasses there so we can drink mimosas at the point. And I'd say, when? No, not this summer, next summer, or, when we're in our 80s. So the whole thing I just was not, I was literally insane, I guess. Not with jealousy, but I think with loss. And I just could not think straight.
So not thinking straight. You give her something that alters her somewhat. You sit her down, wrap a rope around her for some more symbolic things.
And
Talk
just-
to her a little bit. You've got the truck packed up with her stuff. And you get her into the back of the truck and drive here. Somewhere along the way,
She went into the truck voluntarily
somewhere along the way, she attacks you
and goes.
with the rope. She attacks you with a crowbar?
No,
Or
with
something like a crowbar?
lock, like a steering wheel lock,
Okay.
and a one of those small LP bottles on a hiking staff.
Okay,
And,
so you're driving along 55 plus miles an hour and this is going on.
yeah.
Did you give her a little zap with the thing to protect yourself, keep from crashing the car? I mean, you crashed your car, it could kill the two of you.
We were doing, it's 75 most of the places, and I think I showed it to her, and that's when I zapped myself because I didn't realize I was, I don't know what I was holding on to that I got.
Okay, so did you zap yourself twice?
No, just once.
Because I got the impression that you showed her the cattle prod in Utah at her house.
But I didn't. I can't remember if I triggered it. I don't think I put it's got 2 switches. And you have to have both switches on, and I don't think I had them both on. I think I just showed it to her.
So the time when you shocked yourself was in the car going 75 miles an hour when she's attacking you with all this stuff. Why is she attacking you with all this stuff if she's going along willingly?
Well, I think she changed her mind, or and I mean, I don't know if I should have just... She was going so berserk trying to attack me. I was just trying to keep from crashing and keep from... should I have stopped and turned around? I suppose the answer is yes.
I mean, did you stop and eventually get her calmed down?
She would just go berserk for 5 minutes or something, and then be still for not be still, but I mean be calm for half an hour or something, or put a put up a barrier so I couldn't see her, or to break the wind maybe, because I don't know if it was, I know it got down to about 67, and I didn't turn on the heat because I was afraid I'd doze off if I turned on the heat, because I hadn't slept since Wednesday morning.
So did you handcuff her to keep her from going berserk like this and protect her?
To protect her and to protect me.
Okay. What kind of handcuffs are they?
They're regular.
I mean, are they silver? Are they black? Are they green?
There's one black set and I think 3 silver sets.
How many sets did you take with you?
I think I took all of them with me.
Which set did you use on her, or how many sets did you use?
When she was trying, I thought, to crash the truck, I had one set on her and one set hooking her so she couldn't. I was afraid she'd go out the back. She was trying to push open the back door, and I was afraid at 75 she'd go out the back door and get killed.
Oh yeah.
And but
so is there something inside the shell there that you can attach to?
Yeah, there's I've got eye bolts, and there's from carrying generators and stuff like that to tie down. There's a chain on the eye bolts so you can run it through like the frame of a generator and hook it on the other side to keep it from bouncing around or sliding out.
Okay. So you had it handcuffed to the eye bolt or to the chain, or?
I think whatever I could get to when she was, going crazy. And then she would, she'd literally brace both feet and pull against the handcuffs. And then next thing I know, she'd be calm and, not comatose, not sleeping, but just would calm down.
At your house, did you ever do or say anything that would have given her the impression that you were going to kill her or kill yourself?
I never at any time said that I would kill her.
Okay.
I said my life as I know it is over, but I didn't say I would kill myself.
I mean, I can understand, you know, as a last-ditch means, you know, to get her back.
If anything, I might have implied it for attention, but did not say I would kill myself, and did not say I would. But I kept saying, you know, my life is over. You know, this is a big mistake, and I know that it's going to cost me probably my right to have firearms. What I don't know is if I get to decide what happens to them. You know, give them all to my brother-in-law, because he is a collector of guns.
Other than your mom, do you have relatives?
I've got a sister, and that's all.
Okay. Something like that could probably happen. I don't know for sure. I don't know what the legalities are.
I think you
behind
just
all that.
have to fill out the right paperwork.
I mean, so deep down, probably, I mean, as upset as you were, as devastated you were, your heart's ripped out of your chest, the whole 9 yards, deep down you probably realized, basic on what you just said, that this was not the right thing to be doing.
It just wasn't
wrong.
working out the way I thought there would be this big catharsis that she would, you know, go, I made a big mistake. You know, and the thing is, she had done it once when we had our first, you know, and what got me was that we broke up probably within 2 to 3 days of each time. You know, a year apart, the time when we had the first really, you know, we should have done this 10 years ago, we're meant to be together and all this stuff. She just called up one day and said, I want to be just, you know, the just friends thing, the kiss of death. And it was like the 25th or the 23rd of February. And both times. I think the 25th, and I actually asked her mother, was this some big horrible anniversary of something that it just seemed like it couldn't be coincidental, I guess, that it was almost the same day both times, and that literally a week or a couple days before everything was absolutely perfect. I have there's a chalkboard at the cabin, and she'd written something on the you know, like February 17th of '01, lovely. And then on the 25th, which is just 8 days later, it's all over. And then pretty much the same have a really nice Valentine's Day down in Vegas, going to her, for a change, it was her convention, and went out to eat with my best friend from Las Vegas, who I still haven't told about, because I can't understand how, I mean, he could see how terrific everything was for us. It was we went out, it's his wife's birthday on Valentine's Day, and how 11 days later it can all be gone.
Now, you said the first time you got back together after the Valentine's breakup was in June. You said about a year from now.
Yeah.
I mean, were you hoping, you know,
I
to
think
plan, okay, well, this is June, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, kept hitting anniversaries of, and I, you know, to show how unimpaired I guess she was, I asked, what were we doing a year ago? And she remembered much better than I did exactly which stores we went to and stuff like that. And I can't even remember. I just was kind of flabbergasted that she knew exactly what we'd been doing to the day, when I was kind of thinking in general terms of how our relationship was a year before, and she knew exactly exactly what we were doing on that very day, and doesn't have it. Like I said, she doesn't keep anything in writing, so she doesn't have any, at least now she doesn't have any calendar that she keeps or anything.
Did you have intercourse?
Yes.
Okay.
And I asked her every step of the way, do you want me in you? Do you want, she had a, this is getting really too much information. I had been worried about, I get more pleasure out of taking care of her than I do myself, and I'd gotten a script for some Viagra. And I didn't know that Viagra can make it so you can't, one of its side effects can be that you can't ejaculate, and I guess it got her frustrated because she felt like she couldn't keep me satisfied or something. And for me, I didn't care because I felt it was more loving to take care of her and not worry about it. And so when she brought it up, I'd quit taking that. I'd quit taking caffeine. The Mountain Dew was like the first time I'd had caffeine in, I don't know, months, and it seems to work better if you don't take it all the time.
Do you have any questions for me?
I guess what happens to me now?
What happens now is I'm going to walk you back to the jail, and we're going to book you for kidnapping. Based on the information that we've got, that's what we're looking at here. We're still working with authorities in Utah and working some things out here.
Okay, what do I face? What are the penalties? What are the
penalties for kidnapping? To tell you the truth, it's not one that I deal with a whole lot. It's a felony.
Which means more than a year?
More than a year, yeah. I think kidnapping might be a 2 to 20, 2 years to 20 years in prison, if you're convicted of it. Okay. And I think there's always those things in there. If there's substantial bodily harm or something like that, they add years on. It could be one of those life imprisonment things or something like that. But, I don't think we're talking about anything like that. But it is a felony. I don't know. To tell you the honest to goodness truth, I don't know what the penalties are. The next step is we get you booked. It's late, so I don't know if you're going to be wanting to make phone calls now, but they'll allow you to make phone calls, do things like that.
One of the officers said he'd call my mom, that she had called on the house, we had the house phone sitting there, and I got a calculator, what do you call it, on it? You know, that will dial in your mileage. And it's usually 14, it's like 10 or 11 if you're going up a hill or, and
Do you know any doctors in Little Rock, Conway, or dentist?
no, I know Lark used to go with a dentist in Conway, I think, but I never heard, if anything, I heard his first name, and I don't think but I've never, I don't know where, if anyone I trained with is there, but I don't
You don't have
contact anyone.
anybody in Little Rock, Arkansas, or Conway?
No,
Do you, Betty,
Gathright?
Betty, I was wanting to say Elma, Betty, I was just hearing names. I thought it was from Little Rock, and I thought
No,
maybe you...
Betty Gathright is Lark's mother in El Dorado, and I mean, I know her and her husband, and, but they're the only, I don't think she has any other relatives even that live in Arkansas, so those are the only people I know.
Anything else?
Yeah, just a couple questions. Besides the phone at your place here and the phone in Utah, do you have any other phones?
I have a cell phone and a satellite phone, because almost all of Nevada has no cell coverage. And I don't know what those numbers are, but both phones are in the truck.
Okay. Who do you have cell phone service through?
AT&T.
What about your satellite phone?
I'm not sure what the name of the place is. It's on a sticker that's on, I just don't know who the satellite provider is.
You don't know what the numbers of those are?
No. I don't call myself very often, so
I understand completely.
Have you ever met Carter Elliott?
no. I talked to him twice on the phone when I was at Lark's, just to like pick up the phone and say hello. And Lark just said that's what a very drunk Carter sounds like.
Okay.
I appreciate you talking.
Yes, sir. He's got it in.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. It is 4:20, and this is the end of the interview.
This is yours.
And you call me if you need to know something about that reload, because man, that's been my hobby for 30-something years.
I picked up some reloading stuff probably 10 years ago and bought some ammunition and some powder. Haven't touched it.
And this is yours.
Yeah.
Well, you call me if you need to know anything. 'Cause I'd rather reload than shoot. Because my thing is making them accurate. I have other people shoot them, and the only reason I'd like to reload them to make them so accurate that when it goes off, I want to hit wherever it's supposed to. And thank you.
No, just wait for the officers.
Oh, I guess.
Well, and having been a prosecutor and a defense attorney, I think this is probably as cooperative an interview as I've seen.
And we appreciate it.
And sorry, I just couldn't until I talked to him.
We understand that.
Because I didn't know
We
anything
understand that.
about that.
It's,
I don't know if they monitor the phones, and I like eyeball to eyeball when you're
Yeah.
talking about two
Yeah.
stiffs.
I'll stay here with him, Charlie, too.
okay, I've got to get this up, and I'll be ready to get out.
Hang in there.
Okay.
Hopefully, we can get people here to talk to you about all the special forces work.
Can I get your number in case I ever need to call you? I might call and check on your reload one of these.
Do you know anyone who can help me get like reading glasses or anything, or? It's just they don't have any large print books and I can't.
All right,
And
okay.
see if I have an English one. Yeah. Like this.
Okay.
This gal I'm going with
All right,
to
thank
the
you.
Supreme Court. she had that. I'm a shameless thief. Seemed like a good idea.
Well, I will, if you need anything, don't hesitate to phone.
I will. But at least this, what's his name? Clark Elliott?
Carter.
Carter. It's probably the first homicide in 15 years that hasn't been blamed on Bill Clinton.
Well,
He hasn't been ruled out yet?
no. Okay, let me get my little rag top here on. Well, I guess he left. I thought he was gonna let me leave.
Maybe he went to find someone to get me.
Sir? Okay.